Lucy has successfully implemented digital learning platforms that reach underserved communities, empowering youth and women to embrace entrepreneurship and sustainable agricultural practices. In addition to her work in agribusiness, Lucy has led educational initiatives in technology and entrepreneurship. As a project manager at the Empowering Africans Through Education initiative, she played a pivotal role in delivering vocational and digital skills training to hundreds of participants, leading to a 95% success rate and securing significant funding extensions for 3 years, doubling the fund allocation. Lucy's approach to education is centered on innovation and inclusivity. She believes in creating learning environments that are practical, adaptable, and aligned with the future of work. Her work in program design, curriculum development, delivers spans um, and training delivery spans across multiple sectors, making her a versatile leader in the education space. Lucy continues to inspire change through her work, building partnerships with organizations across Africa and leading initiatives that empower individuals to achieve personal and professional growth through education. I think I will need a bottle of water after reading that profile. Our last but not the least, our honorable speaker, Ohinoyi Moiza. Please pardon me if I did not pronounce your name right. This person that I've been looking up to and I've been stalking him on LinkedIn to follow his path so that I can be encouraged and motivated to also do great things in life. Moiza is a rising junior at Texas Tech University, majoring in computer science with minors in mathematics and actuarial science. He has a strong passion for technology and finance, particularly, and is actively working on developing his expertise in quantitative finance. At Moiza aims to earn an MBA and transition into private equity, where he can utilize his technical background and financial competence to make impactful investment decisions. He is always eager to connect with like-minded individuals and learn from the industry leaders in software engineering, finance, and technology. And wonderfully, Moeza is a Brilliant alumni. So, a round of applause for all our speakers. It's lovely to have you guys and to be learning from you and to gain insights from you. So, we are going to be moving on to your speeches or your delivery or your talk. So I'm going to leave the floor open and we're going to follow the order for which we introduce the speakers. And Mr. Taiwo, over to you.
All right, thank you so much for having me. Um, uh,
Hi, Shagun. Could you please mute your mic? Thank you.
all right, thank you so much, guys. So Blessing mentioned that I can prepare a slide of about 10 minutes, but I don't think that's necessary. I just try to prepare something to summarize my talk. But I'll probably just go to share my story without maybe presenting the slide, looking at the dynamics of the meeting right now. So I mean, as you rightly said, special shout out to Chairman. It's really great to connect with you again, and then all the incredible speakers over here. Yeah, I mean, my journey, basically, I obtained my bachelor's at the University of Lagos, where I studied civil engineering. But I think one crucial thing that really shaped my graduate study experience in the US is early exposure and mentorship. So by third year, I was really, aware of, graduate school application. So that was like an advantage I had. This then prompted me to, go into the GRA, take my GRA as a volunteer period of research by my fourth year. I got GRA already. This is supposed to be an exam that you're supposed to write after you graduate. At least most people do that. So the early information really helped me. And then by my fifth year, I really like kind of volunteered to some lab to publish like 2 papers, which kind of helped my profile before proceeding for um, a 1 year scholar program in Lekki where I met Chema. But during those time, it was just more or less like putting my profile together to apply. It wasn't easy because of I really wanted something good in terms of getting to the best schools out there. So I applied to schools like Duke University, University of Toronto, and just mention all the Ivy League or top schools around the world. But I think that decision was also helpful because preparing a profile to apply for top schools kind of reposition how your profile will be when you submit to medium-based schools in the United States or around the world. I mean, eventually, after a lot of back and forth, I was able to get admission to University of Toronto, which was my number two top school, um, a fully funded admission. But one thing I also realized when I was making a decision to join Toronto was more or less like the research interest is not kind of aligning to what I wanted to do. And I got, admitted to University of Houston. And the dynamics is that I wanted to go to Duke, but Duke didn't offer me admission. I was blacklisted for a long time. And the professor that offered me admission at University of Houston happened to be leaving to work on something related to data-driven engineering. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to join this lab because there's research alignment and this person also have the world-class exposure. So, and that was how I started my journey. Of course, transitioning from civil engineering to working on uncertainty quantification, which is very heavy on artificial intelligence and mathematics. I struggled a lot in my first semester and I was the only student of the lab. I was the first student of the lab. So that came with, getting autonomy, trying to strategically collaborate beyond my lab and learning as much as I can. And then, but this is not unique to me. I'm sure it's unique to every other speakers that are going to talk today. Like the very first couple of starting points, especially coming from Nigeria, can be difficult. But one thing I did was just to show up, every single time and try not to complain as much as possible. If my advisor tries to give me a task and I'm not so clear, I ask for clarity, but I try to get them done. This include collaborating with some of my friends in Bluebird, that are software engineers to maybe write a software package, just do what I have to do to get the job done. And I learned on the job and working with a new advisor forces me to kind of publish. I just landed up my third year with about 6 publications, like going to conferences, traveling to Singapore and Canada to present. So it's been a roller coaster journey. Then it was very hard when I started, but I would say intentionality, the passion, the willingness to get job done. Of course, like there are trade-offs in terms of your personal life. You may not have so much time, but this is the way I think about it. I'm pretty very young, so I feel like if I work so hard early on in my life, I have the other part of my life to maybe enjoy. Yeah. Thank you so much. I think I'll stop here. Yeah.
Ooh, that was brief, but that was so fire. That was so insightful. And that goes to show that starting out, the journey might not always be easy, but like if you keep at it, just as Mr. Taiwo did, you will become a big boss like he is. So I hope you guys are, picking. I hope you guys are taking notes and you guys are learning. So thank you so much for that brief and wonderful session. Next, we move on to Miss Ross. Hi, can you hear me?
You call me.
Or Onyade rather. I'm a Yoruba
Oh yes,
girl.
I'm here.
Jeez, wow, that's sad.
I'm here.
Miss Onyade, can you hear
Just
me?
call me Oyin.
If
Yes, I
you
can
can,
hear you.
please let me know.
I can hear you. Can everybody hear me? Okay, okay, thank you. Thank you for that, Mr. Taiwo. I learned quite a lot.
Hi.
So from me, can I talk?
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Is it a network? Please,
Yeah,
can you see
network, I
if
can
that
hear
person
you.
hear me?
Oh, yeah, I
Okay,
can hear
okay,
you.
okay. Then I think I can
Yes, I can hear
proceed.
you now.
Okay, all right. So for me, when I started this, I really did not have like any idea of like what to do. I didn't have anybody to like tell me, oh, do this, do this.
I was going to introduce you, but I wanted to know if I could hear you first.
Oh, okay, you can then. Over to
Okay,
you.
so okay, okay. So we'll bring in, we will invite Miss Onyade to the floor to share our insights with us. So Miss Onyade, please, the floor is yours.
All right. So I feel like all like Mr. would already have heads up during my own time. I didn't have like anybody to like mentor me like, oh, you have to take this exam or not. So I relied basically on like YouTube. And what that period taught me was the fact that if really want something, then you go for it. And it was like during that period that we're also like doing BMate, and Miss Chama would always come and motivate. So like she was literally like my ginger, like, okay, I think I'm doing the right thing, and if it works out fine, if it does not work out fine. And I know I applied to a lot of schools, like about 15 to 20 schools. That's quite a lot. But like I was I really wanted it, plus Nigeria and all that. Then coming to the US, my first semester was not smooth because it was a very huge transition. Okay, you have to like adapt to the system and everything. But what that taught me again was the fact that I've started this journey and I have to like keep on pushing till I get to the very end, right? And I started to like engage in like extracurriculars. Knew that, oh, I had to make time for this and make time for that, and expand my network. Started like attending conferences, network events, and a whole lot of things. And I'm currently like entering my third year by August in bioinformatics. And yeah, I think that's all I have to say about like my journey so far. Maybe if questions come in, I'll know how to like answer better. But yeah.
Ooh, lovely. So see, she said she applied to like 20 schools. So you will apply once, give up. Now you know why. Because in this place to actually really be successful, sometimes you go gas bomb, like you apply so much that you even forget the places that you applied to. That's when you know that okay, you have gotten to a particular place. Thank you so much for sharing your story. Very insightful and inspirational. Lovely to hear from you. Next, Miss Chi, can you hear me? Hi, Miss Chama. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Hi. So
I,
sorry. Let me keep it. Let me be serious and less emotional about Miss Chama. Hi, Miss Chama. So the floor is yours to share your story. We'll be eager and willing to hear from you. Please.
okay. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
A lot of you already know me on the call, and you know me as Miss Choma, who is the project manager. And now your head is like, why is Miss Choma is speaker of the study abroad? Yes, I am a speaker of the study abroad because I also secured a scholarship, and sort of a good news. I'm also leaving the country in less than 2 weeks, and I'm going to be away for the next 2 years for my master's program on Mastercard scholarship. Yeah, and unlike every other person on the call, right, there were key things I was looking out for. Taiwo was my classmate in school when I did my postgraduate program. But after my postgraduate program, there were key things I told myself I would not do. So I said I was not going to write any English exams because I didn't think that I was good enough to write an English exams. But I also knew that it was possible for me to get a scholarship, and I needed a scholarship that I would not pay any form of application fee, right? So I was looking for a scholarship that would cost me every other thing but money, right? So what that also meant was that I limited the number of scholarships I could apply for, and I just continued my job with it. Earlier on this year, last year I applied for Chevron because Chevron was the only application that seemed like, I didn't need to provide anything. I applied first time, not getting, second time, not getting, to pay me, I'll come back and motivate people, ginger people. But I was not happy I was not getting it, right? And then this year, the day Chevron gave me a rejection letter, I just told myself that I need to start looking for other people who were giving scholarship. And I realized that MasterCard had a lot of scholarship across different kind of things, right? So there were scholarships from MasterCard that needed exams and the ones that did not need exams. There were those that were not looking for people with first class. I did not graduate with first class, I graduated with second class offer. So that was also another thing. I was also looking for somebody that is not going to drag me for not graduating with first class, right? And I found one, and they had asked me to apply. It was to a US school. I sent in my application to Mastercard. Mastercard then promised that if they are interested in you to pass the first stage of the application process, they will pay my application fee to the university. Guys, that's how I took my life serious. I was like, finally somebody to pay something. I checked around. I was not going to write any English exam. I was like, perfect. This is it. This is it. And I sent in the application. my application process was fast. So between application and when I got my scholarship was 2 months time frame. I don't know if there are scholarships that are shorter than that, but I feel like that's the shortest application process I've ever gone through in my life, right? I sent in my application in 2 weeks. MasterCard got back to me to say, hey, listen, we like your application. We are going to pay for your application fee. They paid for my application fee. They paid for an admission support officer who walked me through, and I made my application to the US school. They made sure I did not have to do West. I didn't do nada. All I did was share my unofficial transcript to the school, and in another week, the school gave me admission, right? The school gave me an admission in another week. In 1 week, I got my admission, right? I got my admission on a Monday, and then by Tuesday, someone was reaching out to me from the school to say, "Oh, I need to start registering for my courses." And I was like, "See, I got admission, but I've not gotten scholarship yet." But when there's the Mastercard reached out to me and said, "We're giving you a scholarship," I was like, "Okay, this is good. What does this scholarship entail?" He said, "Oh, that the program I applied for was an online master's," and we were like, "You know what? It's an online master's, but we still want you to relocate." No, I don't want to relocate. I like doing it. I like the work I'm doing in Nigeria. I want to remain there. And they're like, "Okay, that's a condition for them that I would have to relocate." I said, "Where am I relocating to?" They say, "You know what? You first relocate to Rwanda, and then you are going to move to the US for your summer programs." And I was like, "Okay, this is beautiful. Like, this looks like it." I thought that the office I work for is not like giving me laptop. I don't have a laptop. They say, "We'll provide you laptop." I said, I cannot resign from all my jobs, so it's not done. How do I leave?" They said, "We'll provide you stipend." I said, "That is not enough. Not enough ginger. That's not enough. Not enough motivation." And then they reversed their offer to say that they were also going to provide me 3 months support post program. So it means they will pay me 3 months after I graduated from the program to ensure that I settle back into my normal life when the program is over. And I said to them, I'll think about it. It took me another 1, 2 weeks to say yes to them. And when I eventually said yes to them, on the call, I told them that, see, I don't know how to do one thing. Uh, all my life, I do my startup, I'm doing business, and I'm self-learning. Now I'm having to resign from my job. I need another job. Like, having a job just makes me sane. At that point, they were like, "Okay, they'll see what they'll do about it." 1 week later, MasterCard reached out to me and said, "Oh, they have a job slot opening with MasterCard. Would I like to work for them?" I'm like, "Yeah." I said, "Okay, send your CV." They gave me 1 week to send my CV, and I sent my CV to them on Monday. I sent my CV to them on Monday. By evening of that Monday, they told me, "Oh, Choma, let's have an interview." The department, because obviously it's not the scholarship department, right? It's like Core Mastercard Foundation. Wednesday, I was in an interview with them. I answered all of their questions. Friday, they gave me a job offer, and then they asked me and they said, "Would you come to Rwanda now?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm happy to come." So this is typically my own scholarship story, right? Maybe not the kind of scholarship story you hear every day. So it's just right now that I'm trying to now send in my transcript officially from the school. MasterCard is now trying to do the whole West thing, all those things. But MasterCard is now handling it, and it's not me handling it. So this is my own scholarship story, guys. Thank you.
Hey, Jesus Christ of Nazareth. All that info. Wow, that's amazing actually. I feel like my goal in life when I grow up is to be like Miss Choma. Like I want to be like her. I just want to be dropping offer and be telling them they'll tell me to travel. I'll say, no, I need this, I need this. I should drop all my like scholarship on your own terms, literally. That's actually such a mind blowing. Like I definitely will be looking forward to replicating that in future. And Miss Shama will be guiding me and mentoring me. I adopt baby care when I'm here. Like I'm already her child now. Like I don't even understand. But yeah, thank you so much for sharing your story, Ma. That's actually so lovely to hear. Next, we'll move on to our Idon that has very low key doings. Hi, Moisa. Can you hear me?
Hello, Lydia. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for the warm introduction, and also thank you to all the speakers. I really learned a lot. Congratulations, Miss Chioma. You really inspired me. Like I learned one or two from what you've said. Always push through the limits. Don't settle for less. So moving straight into my profile, just to let you all know, I'll be speaking as an undergraduate. So I don't have much experience in the graduate admissions or recruiting for admissions. So, like Lydia has rightly said, I am currently a computer science major at Texas Tech University. I double minor in mathematics and actuarial sciences. So, actuarial science is like a discipline that applies mathematical and statistical methods to assess and manage financial risk and all of that into finance and insurance. Um, so my journey, right? So about 2 years ago, I was right in your shoes. I was trying to get into the United States to also study. I graduated back in 2021, so I took two gap years. I came in 2023. I took two gap years because I took 1 year to basically prep for the SAT, and then I started recruiting right from when I finished the SAT for the next academic session. So what most people don't tell you is that for to get the most amount of scholarship or to get most funding as an undergrad student, you need to apply for the fall semesters, and you know applications begin opening from August to basically it runs down to November to get the most amount of scholarships. But basically, admissions could run till the following year March to get some amount of funding to get into school. So I finished the SAT back in October 2022, and then I straightly began, applying to several schools in the United States. I also expanded my base to Canada. I also got into U of T. U Toronto is like the top university in Canada, so I was considering relocating over there, but the US was able to walk through, thanks to God. Um, yeah, so I would say one thing you should take note is that it's not enough for you to get admitted. Like, I believe everyone on this call can easily get admitted to a school in the United States, right? We have about 4,000 universities in the United States. What matters is the kind of school you get into and your funding. So if you want to get funding, you just need two things. You need your SAT or your ACT, and you need your high school transcripts. Or better still, you could use WIC and just evaluate it with some, third-party services like WES. For those of you who already have your high school transcript, you don't need to bother about evaluation. Submit your transcript, submit your SAT or ACT scores, and you're good to go. Because if you want to get funding, you don't need any other thing. You don't need IELTS, you don't need TOEFL, you don't need all those external exams. They are not worth it. It's just SAT, your transcript, and you're good to go. Apply as early as August, September, October, and I think that's basically it. Right. So my take is that also consider the schools you're applying to, not just for visa purposes, but also for like your career journey. Some of you might want to get into investment banking, might want to get into, let's say, quant finance or some core finance courses or programs. And these recruiting or basically job market only cater to like the best of the best, the top schools. Talking about Ivy Leagues, talking about business schools, and you don't want to, be coming from some, non-target schools. Like actually what I say when your school matters when you're recruiting for this kind of programs, right? So do enough research, get into top schools if you could. Uh, Also ensure to get enough funding. So the SAT, I think you can make your inquiries because I was on my own throughout this journey. I, self-learned everything from application to visa process and everything. I did everything on my own. So you could ask questions, go online. I mean, I'm here to answer your questions. So go online, do some research, get into um, how to get this funding. You can basically get funding from schools. You can also get external funding, but my take is that you should apply to schools that grant you funding for full full tuition scholarships also. And yeah, what else I have to say for you? So basically, I currently work as a tech consultant at a big four firm, Ernst& Young. So I work with a client called State Firm, and I'm basically using agentic AI to automate their insurance policies and their insurance processes. And that's that about that. And I'm happy to answer any questions you have for me today. Thank you.
Lovely to hear from you. There's like a level of big that you be that your voice will be so calm. You don't need to like stress or talk high pitch like us now that we're still going through a lot. So thank you so much for that insight. Interestingly, I'm also in the Department of Actuarial Science and Insurance, studying insurance primarily. So it would be lovely to connect with you. So Thank you so much for your sharing your experience and your journey. And now moving, I feel like this Q&A session is what has been bubbling in my spirit for a while. I would be asking this question generally to everyone. I would start with we'll start with Moisa and then we'll go back from there. So, can you briefly tell us where you studied and what inspired you, or where you are studying, and what inspired you to actually pursue an international education, primarily the second one? So, yeah, Moisa.
All right, yeah, thank you. So I currently study at Texas Tech University. It's somewhere in West Texas, United States, and I study computer science. And I think you said what inspired me to study in the US. I'll answer for both the US and for my course. So I've always wanted to study in the United States. Notwithstanding, the United States has, one of the best level and quality of education. I've always also wanted to just explore like what it is to live outside of Nigeria because I've only always lived in Nigeria all my life. And that was basically my biggest take on studying in the United States, just getting to get that degree and also, scale and ascend in my career and my respective, career goals. And as for my course of study, so I came in with just a computer science major. I didn't have these two minors, but as I took comp sci classes, I began to see lots of ways one could use. One could pivot in computer science. Like we have computer science majors working for big four firms, have them working for hedge funds, have them working for banks, we have them working for big tech. And I just carved my niche and saw that I think I might have some interest in finance, right? So sometimes last year I did a hackathon at the JP Morgan Chase headquarters in Texas. So I spoke with a few of their engineers, and I got to know about their experiences. I remember speaking to one person who didn't even have a bachelor's degree or was a manager in one of their engineering departments. So that alone just inspired me that you could actually be what you want to be if you could put your mind and your hard work into it. So I've also had experiences with, I think earlier this year I had like a competition with Goldman Sachs. So we had to like design this mutual fund estimator. We didn't have a finance background, but that was the
I think you accidentally muted your mic.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Can you hear me? Okay. So
Yeah, I can hear you now.
gotcha. All right. So I wonder where I start. Well, I would start by saying I began exploring other aspects of computer science, right? So one can pivot into finance from computer science. You can pivot into investment banking or economics from computer science. And my I began exploring my niche when I went for a hackathon at JP Morgan Chase. Okay, I stopped at Goldman Sachs. Good. So I went for a hackathon at JP Morgan Chase, talked with the engineers, went on with Goldman Sachs, designed this mutual fund estimator with a bunch of friends who were also sci majors. Um, this April, I went for a quant competition. So basically, it's like a quantitative trading where you have to like design algorithms to estimate trading and also make your markets and make better investment decisions. It was at Chicago. We have a bunch of all these hedge funds and market makers like Jane Street, Citadel, and everything coming in. You see, a bunch of finance deals, and you just have that feeling. I just had that feeling that yeah, I think this is where I'm a tribe the most. So I ended up taking a minor in natural sciences and also minor in mathematics. And that was the reason for my chosen career or my chosen academic journey. So I believe that you can come in, you can major in economics, you can minor in political science, you could major in probably business management, you could minor in biology or something. So at the end of the day, it's left for you to like carve your niche and carve where exactly you want to get into in the future. So like I said, your future is in your hand. You need to like do what it takes to make sure whatever you're putting your hand into works out. So that's all I have for you today, and I'm happy to answer any other questions.
Thank you so much for that wonderful insights, Moisa. Well, I'll be asking the same question to Miss Chioma. Hi, Miss Chioma. Can you hear me? Um, I don't. Hi, Miss Chioma. She. Okay, so and I don't think she's currently on call anymore. But yeah, I'm moving on to our dear Onyade. Onyade, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, lovely. Could you
Oh,
tell us where you're studying and what inspired you to pursue an international education? Like, why did you not choose University of Lagos? Why? Tell us.
okay. For that question, I'll say what inspired me to like study abroad was me, right? I I mean, I've heard a lot of stories about Nigeria university and all of that, and I didn't want to like go through that phase. Plus, strike, yeah, strike. I knew I wanted something different, so I had to like just push myself. Like my study abroad was like a 50-50. It was like a risk, like okay, if it works out, fine. If it doesn't work out, I keep on trying, right? And that was it. And I mean, I had like supportive family, so like they just kept on like gingering me. There were days I wanted to give up. Yeah, there were days I cried when I collected 13 no's, but it's okay. So what is and why I'm studying at fixed university, and what is inspiring me to like study what I'm studying is the healthcare field, right? I Nigeria healthcare system is quite messed up, and I just didn't like the idea that a lot of people do have access to like good healthcare. Like now you have to like know somebody to know somebody to know somebody to see a good doctor, and it's quite annoying because everybody I believe that life is like necessary and important to everybody, right? It should not be like, oh, one person deserves this because they have money, and the people that don't have money don't have like good life, right? And yeah, that's why I'm studying my major. Plus, I mean, we're in the world of like tech and all of that, right? So how can we like integrate tech? How can we integrate like this part of the world that is evolving to the healthcare field to be sure that okay, yeah, everything is in check, right? There's something I always tell my CS majors that you need us to survive. No, they argue. So because I mean, you need good life. Everybody actually like needs good life for it to like be able to like achieve great things, right? You have to be alive to chase your dreams, right? And yeah, that's why I'm studying my major, and I look forward to like expanding in like something else after my undergraduate degree, and that's it.
Thank you so much, Onyade. Thank you for sharing that. I'll move to Mr. Taiwo. Hi, Mr. Taiwo. Could you tell us where you studied and why you decided to pursue an international education?
Yeah, I mean, I studied at the University of Houston. I work in the uncertainty quantification group. So, I mean, basically, it's just what it is. You quantify uncertainties, right? So, then I kind of relate to what Moisa spoke in terms of what I do. But to be honest, for me, during my undergrad, I had like a niche for research. I really enjoyed doing research a lot. So when I discovered grad school, I knew that this is something I really wanted to pursue. And when I spoke to a couple of guys, and I realized that as I'm working, they will also be paying me for studying, and which is pretty comfortable for me to get by in the United States or do some other things. So I mean, it was a no-brainer for me if you think about it, because I thought about working for a while and then saving up money and stuff like that. And United States education is very expensive. So what's the point of working for a while where I can just get 5 years to learn whatever I want to learn, build my skills and also get research skills. That was what motivated me. And then choosing the University of Eastern, like I mentioned earlier, I've always been interested in resilient infrastructure or sustainable systems. But the way I define resilient and what I'm doing, I would just say it was a bit of luck. My approach to thinking about resilience as a civil engineer was because I had the privilege of working with Julius Berger, Morgano Monitor. I mean, perhaps both, I had the privilege of working both at the best consulting and construction firm in Nigeria, thanks to some scholarship that I got in Unilag. So I really had, will I say, state-of-the-art exposure to construction, mechanized construction. So I really just wanted to do something in that aspect in terms of sustainable infrastructure. So I kind of applied. Then I came across this, application like 2 weeks to the deadline or so. That okay, we are trying to apply uncertainty quantification to civil engineering. So my thinking was okay, for something to be resilient, you must be able to also quantify. So I just applied, but apparently I was deceiving myself that is far from civil engineering. So when I discovered what I was offered and comparing to other roles, I felt like, okay, let me challenge myself. Technology is the future. As at that time, AI was not really a boom, but of course it was very promising. ChatGPT was not housed then. I think it was that year they released their first GPT-2 series. So I started this and I realized that everything I've been doing is mathematics and programming and going to these conferences. So that was how I got to do what I'm doing right now. And to be very honest, just to also like in the same line as Moisa, like you have to take charge of every opportunities. So I realized that there are numerous opportunities over here in terms of publishing AI conferences. The pace at which AI is going now, for someone like me that's at the back end, I kind of realized is a no-brainer. There are four top AI conferences in the world right now. You have New Reefs, ICMA, and then you have about 10,000 people that submit to publish and they just accept maybe top 30%. And four of these happen every year. And then you meet everywhere around the world to share what people are doing. You see what OpenAI is presenting, what NVIDIA is presenting, or Tesla is presenting. So my advice or vision is to also publish in those conferences. We knew it was hard to get into the conferences. The very first time we applied, we got rejected, very bad comments. We went again, this is my advice on that experience in Duke University, work with the best mathematician, but you want to penetrate to not just applying AI, but actually developing the theoretical background of AI is pretty challenging, right, with a lot of mathematics and also, model architecture development, if you call it. So, but eventually, like just to fast forward, after about 2 series of rejection, we kept on doing the research better. And then we got accepted, not just normal acceptance, we got accepted with Aura, and that was how Google came in to fund my travel and also Meta. I think I was just part of the 11 scholars, and then I went to Vancouver. When you get a trick to something, you just get used to working at that high level. And since then, we've been publishing at these top AI conferences. I was in Singapore in April to also present. And the beauty of this is meeting the likes of Jan LeCun, the developer of AI, where everybody present their research and, the likes of Jeff Hinton, and you'd be like, okay, yes, this is not magical. This is inspiring. There's a lot of things going on that is. And yeah, that's my journey. And I'm really excited that I took this decision to challenge myself and not do civil engineering, just pivoting.
Lovely. Maybe I'll consider insurance and transitioning. Maybe, maybe not. I'll think about it. Thank you so much. So I'm going to be taking order back to Moeza from Mr. Taiwo, and this question will be going to Mr. Taiwo. So I want to do it very quick. So I ask you a question and you give me a response. So it's going to be a very quick back to back question and answer for each of our speakers. So let's do that. So hi Moisa. How did you
Hello.
choose how did you find and choose your study program abroad? Or how did you choose or find your study program abroad or your university? How did you choose or find it?
Right. So I began by researching schools first off. I researched schools based on top computer science programs. I ended up with Texas Tech University. One, because I had the highest amount of funding. Second, because I had my family member right here. And also, Texas Tech is like a top D1 research university. It's listed under Carnegie Mellon Top Research University. It has lots of endowment funding. And I'll be beginning my research by this fall. So I ended up going with this school because it had lots of research and it was promising for undergrad students, right? So I also ended up choosing computer science because comp sci is a very diverse field. You have lots of firms and industries willing to hire computer science graduates. Not all comp sci graduates are always looking for software engineering or machine learning or AI development or engineers. So we have consultants, we have economists, we have mathematicians who finish with their CS degree and they are going to several departments. So comp sci I would say is a very flexible degree, and I decided to go with that and also minor in some other finance fields. That's what inspired me.
Okay. Did you? Thank you so much for that. Did you take any exams like IELTS or TOEFL? If yes, how did you prepare? Quick.
Yes, so I did take the SAT. I began self-prepping for the SAT in COVID. Then I began fully prepping when I finished high school in 2021. So I studied for the math exam, studied for the English, and I wrote the SAT in October 1st, 2022. I remember because that was Nigerian's Independent Day. So I wrote it at Unilag. And by the way, I got admitted to Unilag, but that was my third option. Right. So I wrote my SAT in Unilag. I finished it. Results came out in like 14 days. Then after that, I began applying to schools from there, and they began reaching out to me sometime in October, November. Yeah, we
Thank you so much. What common mistakes should applicants avoid during the application stage?
here. Well, that's a good question. What common mistake? I would say don't just apply without having at least a good information of the reason why you're applying to that school. Do you actually want to end up with that school? Did you hear it from someone? Have you done your personal research? Because it's not enough to apply to random schools, right? So if you're submitting your SAT scores, you have about four free sending of your SAT scores to schools for free, and then from there they began reaching out to you to begin applying and getting their scholarships. So you don't want to waste that alone on schools that don't have enough funding, right? So it's left for you to do some research. Some schools have presidential scholarships. They have lots of scholarships designed for international students to get full rides. So do enough research. Don't blindly apply to schools just because you heard that school. Do your personal research. Target that funding. If you see the requirements, you must have at least this GPA from high school, have at least this SAT score. Target that and go ahead and submit your results. And if you have a high school transcript, fine, but go ahead and do worse if you don't, and you should be okay with that. It's not a big deal. It's not a big process.
All right. Thank you so much, Melissa. I'll be going to Onyade. I'll be moving on to Onyade, and I'll be asking the same question. So, first, how did you choose? How did you find and choose your study program? So, is there a place to look? Are there websites that you can recommend? Is there like a particular space that they can find information like that for the study program abroad or like a university abroad? Like, could you tell us how that goes?
Okay. So for me, I use more of like YouTube. I checked online, like for YouTube recommendations, I checked online. I sent a lot of emails to different schools because one thing I noticed then was some schools' websites will just put, oh, we have funding, right? But they'll not say, okay, this is how much we have, right? And like Moisa has said, it's not going to be worth it if you just like apply, spend money on like applying to a school and then you're like, oh, I didn't like get anything good. So like I sent a lot of emails, like I spammed them with emails, asking questions, like asking specific questions, questions that their website could not answer. Another resource that really helped me was College Board and Common App. Those two apps, I also got like see like a lot of schools. I could see like the application process, their type of funding, and I also like asked questions. I have a lot of questions. So yes, sending emails, checking their websites, YouTube, College Board, Common App. What other resources? I think those were like the top five resources I used then. And why I
All
picked
right,
my
thank you.
school. Oh, sorry. Why I picked my
Please
school.
continue.
Okay, why I picked my school, I had like I had like a requirement for the schools I was applying for. I wanted to go to an HBCU where I see like black students like myself. I didn't just want to like start with like a predominantly white university. So like I had that as a requirement. I had like let's just I had like checklists for the type of universities I applied to, their type of funding, their community, the environment, the society, okay, the state as well was also like a huge determinant for me because I knew like, oh, I'm traveling, I'm the only one going, and I don't want my parents to start hearing stuff that touches the heart. So so yeah, that was that for me. And then I used the list and what I saw online, and also like from responses I got via email to like streamline down my list, because there are a lot of schools in the US and you don't want to waste your time, right? You have to like be strategic in applying to schools, and also be sure that okay, yes, in your application, I mean, at all I'm bad, you get like some responses. And I also knew that I wanted to reject admissions in as much as I was expecting the no's, right? I also wanted to tell schools no, right? Aura for aura. Yeah. So yeah, that was it.
Oh, thank you so much for that insight. So, Mr. Tao, I'll be asking you a very different question. What culture shock did you experience when you got there? How did you overcome it? We're going to be moving to the social aspect because it's important. So, what kind of culture shock did you experience, and what tip would you give to somebody who um that is trying to apply there on how to like properly adapt socially and culturally abroad there?
I see. Um, I think the very first one in terms of socially, in terms of relating to people, is the context of liberalism that you kind of have about America. When you come here, is totally very different. You know, if you think about liberalism, means you can do anything you want, but does not mean you can say anything you want. So I think that was one thing that was really shocking. Like, maybe an ideal, like, will I say, America will probably say if something happened and then they fall down, you tell them sorry. Why are you telling me sorry? You didn't cause it, right? But at the same time, you also have to understand that when you work in an environment like for me, right, if you go to this mathematics conference, they are mostly Chinese, and then it's a very different culture, and then what you say matter. So I think the first culture shock I really have to really get out of my head about America is the whole notion of liberalism is context dependent. Like what you say to people matter a lot. And to be honest, you just have to like observe like the environment you find yourself. And also the other thing that I would say in terms of academics, because academic culture is also different in terms of the fact that for you to get A here, you have to get like for you to get A, things about 93 point something in my school. And at first, when I heard it, that was a shock that okay, I'm going to get 93. But I realized that there are systems and structure in place for you to actually get that. To be very honest, those things are just how can I put it? Yes, you're going to work so hard, but there are actually systems and structures in place to help you achieve that. And also because I also teach, I teach students. And another thing is also the culture shock in how you relate to students is also very interesting. There's a lot of place for will I say, giving students opportunities to grow, but at the same time, not putting yourself, doing it very transparently. So it's okay for a student to tell you that, okay, maybe something happened to their dog or something, and then they cannot submit an assignment. You know, I mean, I've seen that happen severally with me when I teach. So these are things that you see in terms of the relationship. And also the concept of office hours is very important. Lecturers values office hours a lot. In Nigeria, I read a lot of textbooks, so I didn't need to meet any lecturer too. But in the US, even though I still get textbooks to understand and there's everything online to understand, I realized that office hours is always a good option. Like it's never a bad idea. So I think I will just stop here. I mean, there are a lot of cultural shock from food, but I will just stop here. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. So if in 30 seconds you could give a tip, you could give one particular advice, just one advice in 30 seconds to each and everybody here looking to study abroad, what would that advice be in 30 seconds? Mr. Taiwo.
Yeah, push your limits. Yeah, I think that's the summary of it. Push your limits. Along the line, you have a lot of discouraging factor. People will tell you, no, it's not possible. And even if you get to the US, if you are working with an advisor, people will tell you, be careful of a toxic advisor, be careful of a distant. Just focus on the positive. It's a challenging environment, very fast paced. Yeah, I think I'll stop there. Just push your limits. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So I'll push that same question to Onyade. 30 seconds, one advice that you can give.
Um, I think my advice would be submit the application, right? Don't be afraid to hear no. You hear no here and you hear yes. So submit the applications. See, take that sacrifice. You like don't sleep if you don't have to sleep. You can always sleep later on, and the journey is not going to be like it's not going to be like all smooth like we see on TVs. There are some times that I mean can get really not the way you like as expected, but keep on pushing. Know your why. Like what motivates me or what
Mm-hmm.
keeps me going is okay. I know where I see myself in 10 years, and the decisions I make
Mm-hmm.
today would either make me get there
Check
earlier
that.
or in that 10 years, or it slows my journey down. Right. So submit the applications, take that risk, make that sacrifice, and put God. Yeah, put God. And that's it. I think that's all I have to
Yes.
say. But submit the application. Don't be afraid to hear no. If they tell you no,
Yeah.
no, you tell them no. And life goes on.
Yes. They could try to hire you in future and you're like, yeah, you're the one that rejected my application in 2022. I'm not accepting that. So yeah, Moise, I'll ask you that same question. 30 seconds. What would be the most golden advice or tip that you can give to anybody trying to study abroad?
Yeah, I would say be spontaneous, be hungry for growth, right? It's a dog world out there, so you need to actually put your best foot out there. You need to keep grinding because once you even get to the United States, that's just the beginning. There are lots of opportunities for growth, and if you sleep, that's basically you whiling your time away. So you need enough network. You need to like build that relationship. So I have to say, good relationships over your skills because your skills won't keep you on the job. Your relationships will make you grow and even get to better places. So keep grinding and be spontaneous. That's what I'll say.
Thank you guys so much for that wonderful session. I will be handing over to Blessing to take over from me now. It's been lovely to speak to you and learn so much from you guys. And maybe I'll try to study abroad. Maybe, maybe not. Thank you so much for that insight, guys. And I hope everybody here has learned as much as possible. Please drop your questions in the chat area so that our wonderful honorable Blessing can take your questions and ask the speakers. Thank you so much, everyone. I'm out. Lydia out. Peace out.
Okay, thank you, Lydia. So I'll be taking over from Lydia, and thank you to all our amazing speakers. I learned so much. Now, this reminds me of a time when I also wanted to study abroad, but in my own case, I think I did not have the right information. And going through this webinar now, it's something that I'm going to take back and also go back to try. The funny thing is, because I did not have the right information and I did not have the right resources, and like they said that she had family support. I, in my own, I threw all my eggs in one basket. So that was the major mistake I made. So I actually got admission to study abroad, but what I lacked was funding. And by the time I wanted to apply for scholarship, it was too late. And so I just had to like, you know what, let's just wait. Maybe it's not the time yet. But it's still my dream to study abroad. And it's a good thing that we're having this webinar. So I'm going to open the floor for questions and answers. So if you have any questions for our speakers, you can either raise your hand or yeah, you can either raise your hand or maybe just type your questions in the comments. So the first question that was dropped was from Gideon. Gideon said, where and how did you get the information about the scholarship? Was it an open scholarship or you have to search for it? Or was it from the Beamings? I think this question is for Oyinade and Oyinoi.
Yeah, I can answer that. I think all the questions are tailored to that same topic. So what I need you to do is whatever school you want to get into, you can go research on it right now. So for example, Alabama State University, type in Alabama State University Presidential Scholarship or Alabama State University Scholarship for International Students. So you need to search for scholarships in this school right? You don't search for scholarships outside of the school. You could get them, but it's not guaranteed. So your best bet is to shoot for the school with your SAT and your high school transcript. So get into those presidential scholarships. Look at the requirements. More often than not, they are given at least full state tuition and sometimes full ride to international students. I know HBCUs do that a lot, but with the recent cut in funding, I don't know as to how much they could give out right now. But still, do your research. We have Alabama State, Alabama A&M, Fisk University, Grambling State University. Um, Lots of those HBCUs giving out full rides to international students. I know for one that my friends have at least 1-3 in the SAT, and one of them has full riding on one of these HBCUs. So search for the school you're trying to get into, then search for their scholarships and look forward to when it's opening. Most of the scholarships open on October 15th. I don't know if there's like a rule of thumb for them to keep opening October 15th of every year. So get your high school transcript, get your passport, get all your documents, get your SAT scores ready before October, and apply against the following year fall. So if you're looking to get into fall 2026, you need to have all your documents ready by latest October of this year, and then apply to those schools. Probably you can have some application fee waivers. Some of them have free applications. Applying to them, the scholarships most often than not they are automated, so you don't need a separate scholarship application. You just go through your application, go through your scores, go through your academic merits. Sometimes you need to write like an SOP, a statement of purpose. But I would say for a fact that the earlier you apply, the more the more opportunity you have or the more chance you have to secure that scholarship. So if it's up in October, you need to have all your documents ready by September and be applying exactly when it opens up. So that would be my take for that question.
Thank you very
I have
much,
something to say.
Oinoi. Oyinade, do you want to answer that question?
Yeah, I have something to add to what you said. Um,
Okay, thank you.
so another thing we need to note is the fact that like US schools, they have like different admission deadlines. Some schools have like two deadlines. Some schools have three deadlines. So you have to like also take note of the deadlines. Another thing I'm going to say is like for undergraduate admission, one thing that really helps me is common app, like common and app. So it gives you the opportunity to apply to like I think 20 schools for free. Some schools when you go on their website, you see there's application fee. But if you apply through common app, you will see that there's no application fee or it has been waived. Another thing I'm going to say is when you've made your research, ask questions, ask the schools. Some schools have application fee, and I think when I emailed, they were like waiver code, like okay, when you're applying, use this code, and you will not have to pay the application fee. So like I still stand on like emailing the schools, email them, ask deep questions. Some schools' website like have all the information. Some schools' website you can't really rely on them. So like you need to like if you don't ask, you're not going to like get answers, right? And I mean, you're going to like miss out on a lot of stuff. So like ask questions. I think yeah, you also need letter of recommend. Okay, before then, IELTS. Some schools will tell you to write IELTS. That's English proficiency exam. But like for me, what I did was I emailed them and I told them like, oh, I'm from Nigeria. I know how to speak English and all of that, right? Some schools waived it. Some schools decided to like do like an English interview with me, like to be sure that I can speak English, and they waived it. I didn't have to like write the exams. Plus, another thing you need is letter of recommendation, right? I know that US is very big on like letter of recommendation, like they want to like say like, oh, you have someone that can like stand for you. So start farming people. If you really want, like start farming people, farms people, your lecturers, your supervisors, your teachers, farms them, let them know so that by the time you be meeting them, like, oh, I need letter of recommendation, or no, oh, I need this, or I need you to sign this, they'll be willing to like help you, right? And application opens like around August, September, right? So yeah, start getting your document before then. So it's going to like be easy for you to like just apply and all of that. That's it.
Thank you very much, Oyinade. So the next person here says, okay, the question is from Zainab Muidin. She says, good evening. Please, one of the scholarship I see online for masters are for masters or doctorate degree students. Please, where can we get scholarship for someone who is yet to get into university? Um Okay. Mr. Taiwo, do you want to answer that question?
Oh, I'm sorry. I have to pass it over to either Moisa or I think they have
Oh,
more
okay.
experience with undergraduate
Oh,
scholarship.
okay. Okay, it's fine. Moiza or
Yeah, what's the
Oyinade,
question?
a question for you.
Yeah, what's the question?
Okay. So the question here is, okay, the person says most of the scholarship they see online is either for masters or doctorate degree. So they're asking for where can they find them undergraduate scholarships.
Mm. Yeah, so like I said earlier, you need to get into the school's website. Get into I've sent a bit of schools. I've sent about three schools to chat: Alabama A&M, Alabama State, Grambling State University. They all offer full ride scholarships to international students. They offer full state tuition. So it depends on your merit. So if you have a 1400 at the SAT, you could have a good foot in getting a full ride. If you have a 1200 at the SAT, you could get a full state tuition. It all boils down for you to apply on time. You have people even with a lower SAT score getting full state tuition at these schools just because they could apply in time. So you literally need to search for the scholarships on the school website. Just go to Google, type in the school, and then after the school, type in presidential scholarships or merit scholarships or international student scholarships. There is enough information for you right there. I've sent three links for you, so you have an idea as to how you should be searching for these scholarships. Like I said, the scholarships usually open up around October 15th. Some go, as far as November. So you need to like have your documents. I think everything you need should be your passport, your documents, as in your statement of purpose, then your high school transcript, and your SAT score. Aside these, I think that's basically all you need. Applying to the US is literally straightforward for an undergrad. You don't need a bunch of skills. I think the general was mentioning in the chat, you don't need skills for anything. You're coming in fresh from high school, so they don't expect you to have any other skills than to just come to study, right? Everything that gets you in there is your merit-based, your merit-based test, your SAT or your ACT, and your high school transcripts. That's all.
Okay. Thank you very much, Oyinoi, for that answer. Oyinade, do you have anything to add?
No, you have said it. That's it.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Okay. The next question here is from Husu Shegun. Said, what are the requirements for getting a scholarship into the university? I don't know if you guys have covered that already. So that's the question.
I
That's
think
been
that
covered.
that's been
Yeah.
covered. Like, just,
It's,
I
it's
mean,
been covered.
yeah. Now that you want to just search school and check the requirements, and I don't know. Yeah.
The next question here is, for master's degree abroad, do I need to do TOEFL, IELTS, or DLF or DALF? And I hope NYSC certificate isn't a requirement to do masters. And do I need to have experience with my chosen course of study before I can get in? So
Okay.
I think this question is for Mr. Taiwo.
Yeah, I think first of all, while I understand most people say, okay, if your reason for not writing TOEFL is financial constraints, yes, I can understand that. But I'm of the opinion that if you can afford it, just write it. It's a very simple exam. I mean, I prepared for just one day. This is not GRE. I understand when people are saying they don't want to write GRE. GRE is a very time-consuming exam to prepare for. But for TOEFL, I mean, we're speaking English country. First of all, I think if you can afford it, get it out of your head, try to write it. If you cannot afford it, what are the pathway that you can go? I was part of an education USA scholar, and I don't know. I mean, if education USA is very, very, very supportive in this game, but it's can be very competitive to get into. So if you are lucky enough to get into that, maybe get a good, very wide result or good undergraduate, transcript, they will fund like about 4 or 5 of the application fee, pay for your flight fee, do all of those stuff. There's Michael Taiwo scholarship that can pay all these things for you. There are a lot of fundings like that people like are giving back to the community to help you fund this exam. So like Moisa and and Onya said, it's just about you finding those information online. The scholarship does not start from the school itself. You also start from the application process itself. And if you really want to do this exam, you will find people that can fund you online. I'm pretty sure of this. With respect to for requirement, like with respect to masters, do you need NYC? No, you do not need NYC. With respect to, do you need to have experience with what you want to do? I mean, you have to understand that getting admission is very easy in the US, but getting funding is the issue. So, in as much as having a direct experience does not necessarily matter with your course, but having a very, it's always preferable to have, first of all, but having a very competitive profile trumps all for graduate study, especially for masters. So people think that, okay, people just fund graduate study for free, except you get a fellowship. So there's a difference between a fellowship and a research assistantship and teaching assistantship. Fellowship is like, okay, you don't have to work to earn your money. But most funding are available for PhD students because of the fact that is an exchange of value. The research is benefiting the United States. So if you want to get a scholarship in a master's, eliminate the thought of course-based masters in your head. That you don't want to do research, you just want to go and take courses. So from a reviewer standpoint of view, you are basically taking this masters for your own personal benefits, not to benefit the community. So people that go for course-based masters, you don't get funding. But if you do a research-based masters, it opens ways for you to say, hey, this will also help me professionally, but my research will also contributes this and this and this and this. So you have to also be strategize that. So I think these are things to keep in mind. Having a direct experience in research does not matter, but you trying to like maybe write simple review papers. What I did when I was applying, the moment I discovered the research changes I wanted to apply, I took 4 months to write 3 different review papers that I published as manuscript on ResearchGate. You don't need, there's something called preprint, something you've not submitted to a journal. For me to publish those review papers, it means that I have to read a lot of journals. So I read a lot of journals, like maybe 15 journals on a topic, summarize them in a 6-page publish it. These are what I put on my profile CV, publications, even though you will not see it on my current CV now, because I now have publication. But as at then, that was what I had, and it was convincing enough to get me scholarship. So it's just about you being intentional and then trying to work around your profile. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Taiwo. Does anyone else have a question? Does anyone else have a question? Okay. Um, okay. Okay. No questions. Okay, I have a question from my end. So, my question is about internships. So, while you study, how do you manage to apply for internships? Do you apply while you are in school, or like during summer periods, or you apply during like during school sessions? How do you manage your internship and your studies? That's my question.